whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
Happy Tuesday, the last day of February. I am Nikki Medoro. This is the Nikki Medoro Show live on YouTube, starting at noon Pacific or anytime you like, because it's YouTube. I love seeing so many of you already in the comments. So while you're there, my friends, click that thumbs up button for me, shall we? YouTube loves it, which means I love it, which means you love it. So let's get the show going on the right foot, and just click that thumbs up button for me real quickly. It really helps us out. As always, we want to thank our founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz, 888 Tax Deal, Moskowitz, LLP.com. It is tax season, people. There are things you need to know, and Steve has all the answers, so give him a call. 888 Tax Deal, Moskowitz, LLP. The super chat is live. So many of you, you'll email me wanting to support me either through PayPal or Patreon, but love to do it through the super chat because it's more of an interactive type of thing. I see it in the moment. And so it is live. Just look for that $sign and you can give a super sticker, a super thanks. We'll read your comments. We'll give you shout outs throughout the show. So we really appreciate everybody that does that. And again, if you want to be Medorable, be part of the cool club, please consider donating monthly to our Patreon. This is some sustainable money we can count on every single month. So if you'd like to support the show in that way, just go to the NikkiMedoroShow.com. The Patreon link is there, as well, of course, links to past YouTube shows that you can share with your family and your friends. And then finally, the email address, the NikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. That's where you can reach me. That's the email you use for PayPal. We do have sponsorship opportunities. I've been emailing some of you that have been reaching out about what that would exactly look like. So reach out to me again, the Nikki Medoro Show @gmail.com. We can kind of go over what makes financial sense for both of us. And hopefully you'll start to hear and see some more sponsors on the show. And then, of course, we have merch. The NikkiMedoroShop.com is where you go to get hoodies. Let me show some pictures again. I keep reminding myself, I'm like, show the damn pictures. So we have the hoodies, which I really like that hoodie a lot. We also have it in white, which is really nice. It has that air tower, similar to the one that you see right over my shoulder right here. We have AirPods, we have cups, we have t-shirts like this one that's right there. So just go to the NikkiMedoroShop.com. I'm working on bumper stickers. I also received an email from a listener that wanted a pin, which is really interesting. My son loves pins. He has like a jean jacket. He's so cute. And so he loves to put pins all over them. And some of them are snarky, which I love even more. So I'll try to see about pins. I don't want it to be like a button. I want to see maybe if I can get the logo in like a metal pin form, because that would be kind of fun for all of you guys to stick on your lapels and advertise the show for us. Okay, we have a great show coming up today. In just a few moments, we're going to, of course, talk about the Supreme Court. SCOTUS is taking on arguments regarding President Biden's student loan forgiveness program. And I think the question really, beyond standing, because if they don't find standing, which is a fancy schmancy word of saying, are you really hurt by this program? If there's no standing, then it ends right there. But if they try to find standing, is fairness, because this is what I keep hearing, it's not fair to those that already paid off their loan or what have you, is fairness a good enough argument? Or should we want those that come after us to have it better than us? So that's kind of the question we'll be debating in just a moment. Of course, we have to touch on Rupert Murdoch, kind of basically saying, yep. He kind of put it, he put it on the Fox hosts. They were lying. They knew they were full of crap. And I don't see how Fox News wins this lawsuit filed by Dominion Voting System. I think it is straight up defamation. So we'll touch on that as well. We'll also hear from the former ethics czar White House ethics czar Norm Eisen on what he thinks about this argument regarding First Amendment. Could these Fox hosts be protected under the First Amendment? Marjorie Taylor Greene says she was attacked. She was attacked at a restaurant. I think attacked is a bit of a stretch, and especially a bit of a stretch when she has like zero details besides saying that she was attacked. But apparently sitting in a restaurant, was attacked, and a lot of people were clapping back at her saying, really? You're gonna pull this attacked thing? Inflation is hitting everything, even the tooth fairy. So I'll tell you how much. I don't know. You guys can tell me in the comments. How much is the going rate for losing a tooth these days? Well, when Kim McAllister comes on, especially, we do want to get into some news surrounding children. I didn't get to this yesterday, but I did want to kind of debate whether or not somebody just giving birth is reason enough to delay going to prison. And of course, I'm talking about the former Theranos founder, Elizabeth Holmes. Mental health days. A survey from very well-minded parents found 86% of parents are allowing their children to take mental health days. And while I totally support that, should that be something that's incorporated into the school curriculum, or should it just be up to the parents? We'll touch a bit on social media. What is that sweet spot of how much screen time kids should get? And is that really feasible? And also during the show, we're going to have some food stories. And I'm going to introduce you to Claude the Claw. If you follow me on social media, you know what I'm talking about. It's this new chicken sandwich that includes the claw of the chicken. Now, of course, this is great marketing. It's getting us to talk about it. But I want to talk to especially my non-meat eaters out here. Should there be more of this on people's plates? You know, should there be more eyeballs and feathers and feet? So people understand that that is an animal you're about to eat. And you guys know I'm a meat eater. I'm not criticizing it. But if you see, you know, that delicious chicken thigh or drumstick still attached to the claw, would it give you pause on eating as much? So we'll talk about that in the second part of the show. I do want to get to this Facebook group. Are we dating the same guy? And there's a Hollywood star that is finally going to get hitched. He's in his 50s. And I want to ask you guys, is it a red flag? And I'm going to say this maybe for men more than women, although I really don't want to choose it in that way. But would you consider it a red flag if somebody is in their 50s and has never been married? And I'm going to say by choice or not by choice. But by choice, I feel like may, and we can debate it, may be a bigger red flag. Like, would you want to marry somebody that for, let's arguably say, more than half their life has kind of shunned the idea of marriage? So we'll talk about that in the second part of the show. But again, click that thumbs up button while I get this. I wanted to play you this sound of Bernie Sanders because I want to get into the student loan forgiveness. I understand. Let me just, before I even get into this, I understand the emotion that people must feel if they, through blood, sweat, and tears, paid off their student loans. I get it, right? If I was cutting corners, eating ramen, not going on family vacations, X, Y, and Z, in order to pay off a bill, whether it's a car loan, student loan, whatever, and then let's say right after, or even years later, they forgive all of that. I understand the emotion of being like, damn it, why couldn't that be around when I was a kid? Or when I was younger, or when I was a young adult going out of college, let's say. But is that enough to just forego the entire student loan forgiveness program? So again, they're debating this right now. They've been debating it since like 7 o'clock this morning. Lawyers for 6 Republican-led states are arguing that President Biden overstepped his authority by proposing to cancel all of those student loans, tens of millions of student loans, okay? Now, Justice Kavanaugh was skeptical that the executive branch could create this massive new program based on what he calls a vaguely worded old law. Okay. Now, this law was adopted back in 2003, and it was during the time of the Iraq War. And what it allowed was for the education secretary to modify or waive any student aid program in connection with a war, military operation, or national emergency, which COVID was. I mean, I don't think there's any argument about that. Now, that's basically what they're looking at. But before they can look at that, similar to same-sex marriage, they have to prove standing. That basically means that some entity, a person, has been harmed by the law or the government action or whatever. Now, taxpayers, before you say it, taxpayers do not have standing to sue to stop the government from spending money. So we can't say as taxpayers, I object, okay? And it's not clear who would be hurt. Now, Missouri is arguing, it's one of these states, that its state higher education agency will lose money because of the interest if it has fewer student loans to process. It's making money. It's funded through the interest and all these payments that are saddling people with too much debt, but that's besides the point. Several other Republican-led states say they may lose tax revenue if the loans were wiped out. And 2 Texas residents who did not qualify for the relief, which, let me just pause there, which means they tried to apply for it. So they were fine with it until they got denied. So the Texas residents who did not qualify say they lost the procedural right to file an objection with the education department. Justice Amy Coney Barrett was one that asked a lot of questions about this whole idea of standing. She was the only one of the conservative justices who reportedly sounded uncertain on it. So you guys let me know in the comments. I feel like this has to do with what people think is fair. And while on one hand, I understand it, life's not fair. I mean, we could go really light, right? Is it fair that some people had to walk everywhere they went before the horse and buggy and then the car came around? I mean, is it fair that some people died of diseases before medicine to cure it was created? I mean, there's always been instances where people in the past had it harder and tougher and, I guess, less fair than those of current generations. Is fairness enough? And I really question whether it is. And then there's also this argument of, why are we paying so much for a college education? And why do we seem to have such a problem with it when it reaches higher education, and yet seem mostly fine, I would say, since we still support it, with public funded education for the lower grades? I'm going to play you, of course, one of our faves, Bernie Sanders. Now, there's a bunch of protests and rallies happening outside the Supreme Court today as they argue and hear the arguments surrounding the student loan forgiveness program. Here's Bernie Sanders.
We need the best educated workforce in the entire planet. We need you guys to go out and be the doctors and the nurses and the scientists and the teachers that we desperately need. Long-term or not so long-term, in this wealthy country, we should understand that education from childcare to graduate school is a human right. It should be free to all. And our fight right now is at least to make public colleges and universities tuition free. Right now in America, we have 45 million Americans, young people, drowning in student debt. And I have talked to people all over this country who literally delay having a family, can't have any kids, they can't afford a car, they can't afford to have a middle-class life because they're drowning in their student debt. In America, you should not have to face financial ruin because you want a damn education.
And let's welcome Kim McAllister. So what do you think, Kim? And I know we've debated this before, but now it's before the U.S. Supreme Court. And I do question whether or not these people have standing. And I think that a lot of the quote unquote harm, besides states saying, well, we make money off of all the interest, so we're going to be hurt that way. But this whole idea of, well, I wasn't able to benefit from this law, so that's not fair. I question whether that's enough, given the fact that so many Americans do qualify and would be helped.
It is frustrating when you're just trying to make ends meet and you don't qualify, and you've been paying the same interest on the same loan and you don't see it going down, and it's very frustrating and you feel like you'll never be out from underneath it. Said from experience, and then you don't qualify for the loan forbearance or the loan whatever forgiveness. So I hear that and I feel that myself, but that doesn't mean that there's not someone else worse off than you, and you shouldn't be thankful for your own position, that you're actually able to pay your loan, that you were able to achieve a college education. So I feel like you should not be diminishing what others get just because you didn't get it. And it's the height of selfishness.
Yeah. Al Anonymous writes, tuition costs and inflation grew exponentially while wages remain the same. A critical fact most critics ignore. Yeah. It's the same with housing. It's the same with a lot of things, right? Things have grown like, boop, so high. And yet the amount of money we can spend on it has remained flat, or given inflation, technically gone down. Now, Perry writes, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've heard a lot of people talk about economic equality and how we won't be really truly equal until we have some type of economic equality. And this kind of, I think, pushes past race and goes straight to, poor versus rich. And in this case, if you're low income and you qualify, then maybe that's a great way to help people kind of achieve some parity and bring people back up to not equal, but do something for them.
Yeah. And I don't even necessarily think that you need to be low income to qualify for the student loan program. I think you have to have a certain type of loan, right? There's certain types that do and do not qualify.
If you make too much money, you don't qualify.
Oh, yeah, I understand, but you don't have to be low income is what I mean.
Right.
You want to be technically low income. Perry Joe writes, if you sign a contract, you should fulfill. The only thing that I would respond to, and I get that argument, and in a way, yes, but similar to, since we're talking loans, those check cashing loans, right? Where the interest is like 500%. And I don't think anybody had a problem with reining in the rules, because sometimes you found people didn't understand the contract that they were writing, or just the astronomical interest that's on it was just awful. And people were never going to be able to get their head above water. Doing something like this to help people who may have signed loans that they didn't understand, which is stories that we hear often when it comes to college loans, I don't see a problem with that. Jacques says there should be no loan forgiveness. All new student loans should be fixed at 4%. Even if the loan gets transferred to a new bank, all existing student loans should be rolled back to 5% at a locked-in rate. Okay. Eric says, this is like arguing that we shouldn't raise the minimum wage because a McDonald's employee shouldn't make as much as an EMT. Well, fight to raise all wages then. Don't hold down the restaurant employee. Right. If the EMT is complaining that they're getting paid just as much as the McDonald's employee, then the EMT should be like, I should get more money as well. I agree with that. Look, how does it harm? Here's another question. How does it harm people to help millions, tens of millions of Americans get out from under this debt? Where is the negative? That, like, just talk about Missouri, right? The fact that they can't make money off the interest, and that interest and that money is supposed to go to benefit the people that live within the state. I mean, I would much rather take the money directly and decide on my own how I spend it than to have an entity, a state entity, make money off the interest that I'm paying, and then they decide what is best for us as a community. That's just me. I mean, it's similar to direct checks, right? Direct help to people during COVID. I don't see a problem here. And so many, but here's where I do see a problem. and this is what I will not understand. The federal government needs to get out of the student loan business. You cannot forgive student loans with one hand and then still give them out with another. The system is broken in the way that it is. And if they got out of it, I do believe that would help in some way. And many economists have said this, that it would actually reduce the cost of college tuition because there wouldn't be this guaranteed funding from the federal government. Obviously, we don't know if that's going to play out the way it is, but I don't think the federal government should be in the student loan business to begin with. Let's see. Cindy says, no more massive student loan debt equals able to buy a home, and it helps the economy. Exactly. That's my point. It's like, if you have, let's just say 40 million Americans who no longer have to make that, I don't know, I think the average student loan payment, let's just say $500 a month or something. That's a lot of money. That can help pay a car payment, rent. Remember we were talking about guaranteed income? Think of John says, people are jealous. Why should they get debt forgiveness? I had to pay for college. We have created a nation of crybaby children crying because their sister got a lollipop and they did. Analogy, John. Yeah, I just feel like, what's wrong with helping others? Yeah. Right? Like, and again, it seems like, well, it's not fair to me but canceling the program doesn't benefit you. It's literally just how you feel about it. Because let's say they forgive the student loan, they eliminate the student loan forgiveness program. Your situation as someone that's already paid off their college loans does not change. If they do keep the student loan forgiveness, your situation does not change. That's why I don't think this case has any standing. I'm not an attorney, of course, but that's really going to be, in my opinion, as an American looking at this, that's the hardest sell, is how are you truly hurt? Or is it just your feelings? Is it the anger you feel that you paid off? Is it the anger of the generation you were born into? That's what it seems to be coming down to. I don't know. So we're going to see. I don't believe, I mean, they're going to have time. They're going to hear the arguments, and then there's going to obviously be a gap before they come with some sort of ruling. So we don't know what's going to happen. But I do believe that in a nation as, there's a lot of things that the United States should have free. Higher education, healthcare. These things make us better as a country, right? Healthy and educated. Why are people fighting against that? You want us to be dumber and dying? I don't get it, but we're going to see. We'll see what SCOTUS decides in the coming months. Let's move on to the Dominion lawsuit. So what was this? Yesterday, I think Rupert Murdoch came out and said, I acknowledge that basically our Fox News hosts were full of crap when they were talking about the election fraud. I want to thank, who's this report? Go ahead.
It shocks me that they're not more embarrassed about this. I mean, they should be red-faced.
No shame.
They have no shame. Putting their heads down and walking away like, oh my God, we did this. We lied to the American people. We have no credibility anymore. We don't. Horrible.
Why would they care?
I think people that watch it know it's not the truth. People that watch it know that they're just getting spoon-fed propaganda, and it's their ideas and what they want to believe, whether it's rooted in truth or not.
Yeah. I want to play you this report. It was really well done by Jerrica Duncan with CBS News. And I want you to listen. And if you're just listening, but if you're watching, it's even better. Just, the audacity, right? The audacity of these hosts. And Sidney Powell, oh my God, we knew that she was badass crazy, but just the doubling and tripling down on it. Here is this report again by CBS News.
More now on the challenge to Fox News coverage.
We heard complaints that 6,000 votes from Trump to Biden were switched.
According to Dominion Voting Systems, the steady drumbeat from Fox News that the 2020 election was stolen despite evidence to the contrary amounted to defamation.
Well, I can hardly wait to put forth all the evidence we have collected on Dominion.
In a lawsuit seeking $1.6 billion, Dominion says it was targeted by Fox News hosts and commentators who, in effect, said the company's machines allowed so many votes to be mishandled or miscounted that Joe Biden was falsely declared the winner.
We told them. We told them in real time.
Dominion CEO told 60 Minutes in October that they informed Fox News that its claims against the company were false.
This is not a matter of not knowing the truth. They knew the truth.
Monday's filing includes sworn testimony from Fox Corporation's CEO Rupert Murdoch. He admits that high-profile hosts, including Sean Hannity and Lou Dobbs, endorsed the stolen election narrative. He says, quote, "I would have liked us to be stronger in denouncing it in hindsight."
I'm going to pause it right here. We'll go back to it in just a moment. But this is important. Murdoch says, "I would have liked us to be stronger in denouncing it in hindsight." Well, now that you know, you should be just as loud saying the election was not stolen, that the Dominion voting systems were not switching votes. It's like the front page news is accusing someone of a crime, and then the retraction or the correction is buried in the back of the newspaper. No.
Mm-mm.
If this was such a big story for you to cover it in this way, it should be just as much of a big story to do it the other way. But of course, we all know they're never going to do that.
Asked if he could have stopped the network from booking election deniers like Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, Murdoch responded, "I could have, but I didn't."
There has been a massive and coordinated effort to steal this election from.
In an earlier filing, Dominion revealed private text and emails from Fox hosts casting doubt on Trump attorney Sidney Powell's election fraud claims. From Sean Hannity, "I did not believe it for a second." From Tucker Carlson, "Sidney Powell is lying." And from Laura Ingraham, "Sidney Powell is a bit nuts."
The media does not call an election.
The new filing also claims that Murdoch tried to win back viewers who were furious about the network's call of Arizona for Biden by firing managing editor Bill Salmon.
This is important. He wanted to win back viewers by doing what? By lying to them.
Mm-hmm.
That in and of itself makes you not like we need to don't know this, but you're not a news network. You don't, put your finger up in the air and test the wind of what the viewers want to hear and then regurgitate as fact. You give them the facts, whether they like it or not. You don't fire the guy that was telling the truth about Arizona.
No.
He presided over the Arizona call. According to the court filing, Murdoch thought that Salmon's firing would, quote, "be a big message with Trump people."
Is the FBI already carrying out an investigation of these voting companies?
In a statement, Fox News calls Dominion's lawsuit a blatant violation of the First Amendment and is more about what will generate headlines than what can withstand legal and factual scrutiny.
So I'm going to stop it there because it's really hilarious that they're saying, "Oh, but it's not going to hold up to legal scrutiny." Oh, you mean like the election fraud lie that did not hold up to legal scrutiny, and that's why you lost 60 out of 61 lawsuits surrounding this election fraud nonsense? That sort of legal standing? And then as far as the First Amendment is concerned, former White House ethics czar, that's like his official title, I guess, Norm Eisen, had this to say about whether or not Fox could just say what they want because they're protected by the First Amendment.
Wolf, I do think it is a powerful legal case. The standard of actual malice that you need to prove that Fox either knew these were lies or recklessly disregarded the truth is very high. In our country, the First Amendment protects the freedom of the press, a broad array of conversations. But here you have the damning admissions, including from the top guy, Rupert Murdoch himself, that he knew these things were not so, and that Fox, he admits, they endorsed. I think Fox is facing very serious legal exposure. And Tucker Carlson comes in for damaging reporting in this brief as well.
Oh, that's like the best news I ever heard. So yeah, I don't know what's going to come of this, but before we get to his news, I want to ask this question for you guys in the chat room. If Fox News loses, right, which I'm really hoping they do, and they have to shell out all this money, then I would assume, and I could be wrong, that they're going to have to change their ways, right? They're going to be very cautious moving forward into the 2024 election. Trump is pissed at Murdoch right now. He's like, "Oh my God, how can you do this? You're losing the case, blah, blah, blah." If Fox does not fall in line and give Trump's base, which is still strong, what they want to hear and keep promoting the election fraud, let me know in the comments. Do you think he'll still be allowed to win? Do you think he still has a chance to win without a major conservative network backing all the BS that spews out of his mouth? Because I question that I understand why Trump's mad. You mean he doesn't? CNN is not going to, carry all of his lies and BS. Fox was his bread and butter. Nobody's looking at OWN. And I'm sure all these like Newsmax, they're watching what's happening to Fox News. You think they want that heat on them? It's already been on them. And they don't have the deep pockets of Rupert Murdoch. So I'm really curious, and let me know in the chat, do you think there's going to be a real consequence for Trump if and when Fox News loses this lawsuit with Dominion voting systems?
I'm struck by something that not the last clip, but the clip before was said, where Fox is trying to win back listeners.
Right.
Which means to me, the listeners want to hear what they want to hear.
Of course.
It kind of underscores that whole listeners don't want the truth.
Mm-hmm.
They just want whatever corroborates what already is rolling around in their head. They want the talking points. They want the lies. They want to keep living in whatever world they're living. They're not listening to news to get the facts and the truth. They're listening because this is a more of an, propaganda for an ideology.
Oh, yeah.
Than it is about here's what's going on in the world today. Here are the facts.
Yeah. And it's sad.
That's sad. It's sad that you, not you in particular, but you as a Fox listener, news, watcher, would want to be spoon-fed only what you want to hear.
Oh, Brian Kilmeade from Fox News was in a diner and was just kind of doing, who's excited for 2024? And he goes around. It wasn't good news for DeSantis. DeSantis did not get a response. He's like, who do you want for 2024? Trump.
Oh.
Like, these people are not getting it yet. They don't understand that he's a freaking liar and that
they don't care.
Or they don't
care because the bottom line is he did what they wanted him to do politically, and they like that he can be abrasive and rude, and they're still looking for that. They're looking for that type of behavior to be normalized.
Oh, and so many of them have these Christian hearts, right? I was going back and forth on Twitter with this one quote unquote reporter who puts a cross in her profile picture and yet called Fetterman, who has gone in because he's been depressed, has gone into a hospital, that he's in a vegetative state, said he was from Vegetable, Pennsylvania. And I was like, this is a Christian. This is Christ-like, right? I'm not, trying to throw stones at you, but you're the one that puts the cross up there. You're the one that talks to Christians. And yet Trump is your guy. This sort of rhetoric is what you spew because that's what Jesus would do. The hypocrisy is so thick with these Trump supporters. It drives me crazy. If they could just be fair, going back to fairness, we were talking about the student loan forgiveness program, but just be fair with what you demand from your politicians. Don't say, oh, the Democrats are a bunch of liars, when you're literally watching a news program where the CEO has said, we lied about something so consequential, right? That led to January 6th. That's not a small lie. It's not a fib. It's not like, Rudy Giuliani saying, this is my real hair, right? It's not that. It is literally lying about one of our main institutions in this country, so much so. You got people so brainwashed that they stormed the Capitol.
Yeah.
And yet they're going to try to reelect the a-hole that was behind it all. I just can't wrap my mind around it. All right. I'll get to some of your comments. Again, click that thumbs up button. Let us know that you love it. We'll talk about that. I'll throw in, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all upset that she was attacked inside of a restaurant, which is just laughable that she's complaining about something like that.
See her face and it just causes you to recoil.
There's a lot of people
just the look of her, and it's like, oh.
I know. I hear you, my friend. All right. We'll do that and so much more right after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Let's go right to Ohio. Whew, this is just the story that is probably going to be with us for a while. Now, House Republicans are urging President Biden to visit East Palestine, Ohio. Congressman Bill Johnson, representing the district that includes the town where this train carrying toxic chemicals derailed a few weeks ago. He said folks there need reassurance from the federal government that it's working on cleanup and will continue to support the city even after all the cameras pack up and leave. There's a search warrant in the Idaho student murders case. It is now being unsealed. Criminology student Brian Koberger is here. He is charged for the brutal murders involving 4 University of Idaho students in November. The warrants list several new items police allegedly found at the home of his parents in eastern Pennsylvania, including medical gloves, a flashlight, and clothing. The former engineering head of FTX is pleading guilty to criminal charges. Nishad Singh, the latest member of the disgraced crypto king Samuel Bankman-Fried's former leadership team, to plead guilty. The 6 charges against Singh include conspiracy to commit security fraud and conspiracy to violate campaign finance laws as well. New nomination for the nation's next labor secretary. It is Julie Sue. Julie Sue, S-U is her last name. If confirmed by the Senate, she would be the first Asian American to serve as a cabinet secretary under President Biden. Sue would replace Marty Walsh as he is leaving to work for the NHL Players Association. And with very heavy snow expected in the Sierra Nevada, the Lake Tahoe area's got some ski resorts closed down. Look at the traffic. 50 and 80, a no-go. They were closed last night. They were going to reassess. Not sure if they're reopened at this exact moment, but it's going to be another rough ride headed to and from the Sierra today. And now Palisades Tahoe, Alpine Meadows, Sugar Bowl, Kirkwood ski resorts have been closed down as of this morning. Along with heavy snow, the Tahoe region expected to see winds of up to 50 miles an hour. The storm could drop up to 12 inches of snow at the lower elevations and between 2 to 5 feet above 3,000 feet. And I'm not sure, Nikki, if I have played this for you, but this is a video.
This is at the top of our street. Snowing is.
So that's that. And this again is a look at the Sierra roadways. And
I cannot hear you when the video is playing. So what was that again?
That was snow falling in the Santa Cruz Mountains just a couple days ago.
Okay.
Wasn't that tranquil and peaceful and lovely?
No, if I don't have to go out in it, I love rain and snow as long as I'm inside under a blanket and nice and warm and safe and the power's on. I'm happy.
I love it. So thank you for all the pictures, by the way, from listeners and viewers, and we appreciate it very much. Okay, so last story. This is, I love this picture. It's all the James Bonds.
Ooh, okay.
It is so hot. Yes, but Ian Fleming's James Bond novels are being edited to remove offensive material. Do you think this is right? I mean, should the original work stand the test of time, or do you go back and tinker with it so it becomes more socially acceptable? New editions of the classic Bond novels are expected to hit shelves this spring with racially insensitive language removed. A new report in the Sunday Telegraph claims that Fleming's estate worked with sensitivity readers to flag and remove what they see as language reflecting outdated attitudes about race. The news comes at a time of increased cultural sensitivity in the publishing industry, along with the James Bond movie franchise trying to reinvent itself as the series searches for a new 007 actor.
No. That is the dumbest thing I have ever. You know why? Now, I understand why people are offended when they watch that, but what are you going to do? Are you going to go back to like Blazing Saddles and go through every piece of movie and film there ever was that has offensive language? No, what you do is you look at it and be like, oh my God, I can't believe we talked like that, or that was okay. And then I don't know. Are you going to replace cigarettes with, pieces of straw? Are you going to, how far down the road do we go? And who decides what's offensive and what's not offensive? No, I think that this is, if you don't like it, if you are offended by it, don't watch the movie. But I don't think that they should be editing movies.
And a movie that comes out now based on, that character and that book may be different culturally and have different language and different, it may be more sensitive to how we're feeling right now. But the work is the work.
Yeah.
The original book is the book.
Yes.
And if you start tampering with it, then it isn't what it was anymore. And we should be able to be smart enough to look back at it and realize that it was written in a different time by, and I think it's important for it to stand up as a reflection of that time.
Yes.
Let's look back in history and see how people were feeling then about race. What was the common thought? And that's reflected in art and literature and everything else. If you start, making it so that it's acceptable right now, then it loses something from the time when it was written.
Absolutely. And also, I don't, there's somebody else that said in the comment, nobody's asking for this. Lisa wrote, nobody is asking for this to happen. Who's asking for this? And, this is why... Look, there are issues that are important, and then there are issues that, it's like a solution looking for a problem, right? Nobody is asking for this, especially with art and film and things like that are so reflective of the time in which they are made. Don't mess with that. We mess with enough stuff in current times. I mean, God, if in 1,000 years from now, people look back, they'll think that we have Snapchat dog ears and tongues hanging out. And they'll be like, what happened to human beings? I mean, we just need to leave things like that as they are and educate ourselves about them. As those words are coming out, then people are like, well, what about the statues and all those sorts of things? I'm not saying melt them down. I'm just saying they don't have to be in a place of prominence, right? Mm-hmm. We don't need them to learn history. Movies, especially things that are made from the imagination and are based on the time and maybe the era that you're in, don't mess with it. That's a dumb idea.
This report sponsored by, I'll leave James Bond up here because look at them all. Well, hello, gentlemen. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. If you need help with your taxes, please call Steve Moskowitz. He's at 888-TAX-DEAL and at moskowitzllp.com. And if you can click the like button right now, it's a great moment to do it. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Yeah, click that thumbs up button. Smash it with your iron rod or whoever the hell says that. Definitely click the thumbs up. We will give some shout outs throughout the show because the super chat is live. It's a way to donate a super sticker, a super thanks, give a comment. We will read those throughout the show. Just help us out. Keep the show going. We really, really love to do this every single day for you guys. By the way, can you throw that Bond picture back up, Kim?
Mm-hmm. With pleasure.
Which Bond is your Bond? What one do you like?
Oh, I have to say that I always really enjoyed Pierce Brosnan. I know that's not going to be popular. Okay. I always thought he had this air of just this class, and you wouldn't necessarily expect him to go jumping over buildings and doing whatever else. I liked all of them, though, I have to say. But Pierce Brosnan, I think he's the one from my youth, and so I'm going with him. Yeah.
I'm a Sean Connery, even though he started way before my time, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of James Bond, I think of Sean Connery.
Yeah.
I know there's a bunch of other ones, and obviously in current times, but but you know what? I like the fact, that's not all of the James Bonds, right? I'm sure they
forgot one. Karen says they forgot one.
Yeah. But anyways, it doesn't matter who else is up there. Sean Connery is always the one that I think of. And as far as James Bond. Okay, real quickly, I want to read some of the comments regarding whether this Dominion lawsuit against Fox News is going to hurt Trump in the 2024 election. Let me just read some of them. Vilma says, nope, when it comes to consequences, Trump is like Teflon. A lot of you are saying that. Kevin says he'll run as a third-party candidate. Okay, then Democrats win. hands down, they win. There's just not enough. They'll siphon off whether it's DeSantis or another Republican. It'll just be like that. Cheryl says, I'd be shocked if Trump won. Even the people I know who are big Trump supporters would be reluctant to vote for him. Interesting. Although, again, when I was telling you, Brian Kilmeade of Fox was just in a diner, like an everyday American diner with a bunch of, and I'm not knocking white people, but it was all white people. Who are you going to vote for? Trump. They're in Trump country. So, yeah, Karen says something mentally wrong with people who back Trump. Con man of all times. Brian says they like his lies. They don't trust center establishment. But when you're proven, Brian, when you're proven to be a liar, I think the thing that gets me is, do these people not understand they're being made fools of? That Trump is sitting there making fools of them. Like, they'll just buy whatever I say. Like, who wants to be a fool? Now, I understand politics, and they say things that you want to hear, blah, blah, blah. This is different. If you don't understand the difference between, and I'll even go this far. I mean, I think we go from someone like George Santos to a Trump. If you just allow the lies to go unpunished, you're just going to get more and more of the same type of politician. It's sad that so many people still support Trump. Wes says Trump lovers will not support DeSantis and vice versa. It's going to be split, the Republican Party. This would be very good for Democrats. I wonder, do you think DeSantis would fall in line and not challenge Trump?
No, I think
Really?
he wants it too bad. I think today we saw him release.
He's young, though. He could wait.
He put out a book. He criticized the Biden administration. He did a bunch of stuff that shouts, "I'm running."
Yes.
I don't know. How would your heart feel if Trump ran and won? Knowing the country, everything we've been through, the whole presidency, the bungling of COVID, the bungling of things that really mattered in this life. And then January 6th, and we get to where we are now, and he wins again. What do you do? Do you check out of America? Do you fight for America? Is your heart just broken and shattered on the floor? How would you feel?
I mean, I cried the day that Trump was elected. And I'm not even exaggerating. I was crying because I knew where we were heading. Anybody, especially if you were in the news business, and how to follow it as closely as we did, and kept hearing all the things that he was saying. It was one of the most disappointing moments and situations. And I've mentioned this before when we had the amazing John Rothman on, how John broke me. And I will never forgive. I tell him all the time. And I mean this in jest because I adore John Rothman. But how much he promised me that Trump wasn't going to win. And sitting in the room on election night with John and me looking at him and being like, you keep telling me this, John. He's getting elected. And we were all dumbfounded. I still can't believe that this country, on one hand, I can believe it. On the other hand, I can't believe it, but that we did that. It's just.
Liz says, I binged on candy the day he won, and I never eat candy.
Wow.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people knew it was going to be bad, but we didn't know how bad. Could you ever have predicted a siege on the United States Capitol? These are things I never could have. Could you have predicted that a president would have put, business over human life? Yes. But would have not cared about Americans enough to say, stay home, be careful, what have you, or just giving it lip service while turning around and saying COVID's not more than a cold.
Yeah. The cases will go down if you stop testing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not pregnant if I don't take a pregnancy test.
Exactly.
Al Anonymous with a $5 donation. Thank you so much, Al.
Yeah.
Did you cry that he was elected, or because you realized the American people had the audacity to elect him? For me, it was the latter. Ooh, interesting question, Al. And thank you again for the $5. No, I will say that night it was because it was him. I think that it was a disappointment. It was a worry about the fact that the American people elected him. I was just as disappointed when Barack Obama got elected the same election that Prop 8 passed. it was this disappointing feeling that we'd gone so far and it had gone so back. But with Trump's election, it spoke volumes to what people said was okay, right? Like, it's okay to have the president of the United States say X, Y, and Z that's so offensive and so what I thought was anti-American. And not only that, but the people that I know and were close to, I think this was really why I cried. The people that I knew and was very close to would look at me in my face and tell me that there is no reason for me to be upset, that what he said shouldn't offend me, that I shouldn't be worried about things like Roe v. Wade or assaulting women or anything like that. And I think that it was the disappointment that I felt in those that were closest to me that added on to my emotions of that day, because it was just giving me and what I thought we stood for the big middle finger. And that was hard. That was really hard.
To me, I felt, I mean, lover or hater, you had to have those two candidates side by side, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And you had to have said, one is presidential and would do the work for America, and one is obviously not presidential material. It was so clear. So when Trump won that election, it felt to me like a slap in the face to women. Moment where it was saying women aren't good enough to be president, and here's evidence, because we'd rather have this turkey than you. And that's what made me upset at that particular moment. I didn't know how bad it was going to get. Hillary Clinton, by the way, knew. She said during the debate, she's like, listen, if you elect this guy, this is bad. And she kind of laid out, where he would go, and she wasn't wrong.
She wasn't wrong.
No.
Yeah. Now, Nancy writes, Biden, Warren, Sanders, all rich Northeastern politicians, all equally out of touch. Do you, and again, Nancy, you can elaborate on the comment in the comment box, of course, but is being rich, and this is an honest question, I'm not attacking you, is being rich mean you're out of touch? Bernie Sanders, yes, he's written books, he's been a politician forever, it seems like. Is a politician not allowed to have money to still be in touch with what the American people need? Because I would say that Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders are more in touch with with the direction this country seems to want to go, especially the younger generation. And I'm not knocking the older generation. You guys have just as much right to care about the direction of this country as anybody else. But the decisions and how you vote impact the younger generations more than it will impact you. Not doing stuff, for instance, about climate change. On one hand, the rising oceans may not bother you if you're 80 years old, because you may not be, you may still, but you may not be around when the worst of it happens, right? You may be past the age of getting pregnant or even having a kid that can have a child. So Roe v. Wade may not bother you on a personal level, but it does the younger generation. And so how you vote may not impact you. So you should think about the coming generations. You should think about the burden of student loan debt on the next generation when you want to talk about the economy and the housing market and people having money to spend and to start a business and all of those sorts of things. You should care, even if it doesn't impact you personally, because you're part of this country and you understand that the next generation may need that help and may need the change. Karen says Trump is not the problem. The problem is the people who elected him. And I will go even farther, Karen, and the people that have been elected because of him. So I want to show you MTG. Ugh, she's so annoying. I agree with you, Kim. Her face. So she's claiming that she was attacked. She was attacked at a restaurant. This was her tweet.
Oh, are we on to this different story?
Well, I mean, it's all part and parcel of the same. This
Okay.
is Trump. This is the consequence of Trump, right? Is someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She says, I was attacked in a restaurant tonight by an insane woman and screamed out by her adult son. They had no respect for the restaurant or the staff or the other people dining or people like me who simply have different political views. They're self-righteous, insane, and completely out of control. I was sitting at my table, working with my staff, and never even noticed these people until they turned into demons. People used to respect others, even if they had different views.
No.
But not anymore. Our country is gone.
Every time that woman opens her mouth, she is disrespectful and demonic. Every time.
This was her the State of the Union address. Remember her yelling and screaming at the president during the State of the Union? This
Talk
was the
about
other
an
time.
attack. I mean,
This is another time. Yeah.
every time she opens her mouth, it's an attack on someone, and it's ugly and nasty. She has the audacity to complain that someone gave her her own medicine. Really?
Yeah. Someone on Twitter said, people used to respect others if they had different views, huh? Why don't you tell us how shouting vitriol at the president of the United States during not one, but two of his State of the Union addresses is showing respect? You gaslighting, hypocritical hack. I couldn't have said it better myself, so I just wanted to read that tweet. But again, Eric says MTG would rather people who disagree with her not exist entirely. Exactly. all right, I'll take it off. I know, but it's laughable. It's laughable that, and she's not getting any sort of support for this, except from someone kind of surprising to some people, Joy Behar on The View. She said that she kind of feels for MTG, not because she likes her, but that we don't need to behave this way in public. That people, if they're just eating and minding their own business, shouldn't be attacked. Do you agree? Do you think that if you saw Marjorie Taylor Greene out to dinner, that you'd be able to bite your tongue and not say anything to her, Kim?
I wouldn't say anything to her.
I know, but you're so freaking nice. I'd probably say something to her.
You would? No, I would walk past and maybe, you know.
I don't know. I'm acting like I'm all tough. I don't know if I would say anything to her. I feel like I would want to. What would you say? What would you want to say?
This is the bitchiest thing for me to say. Honestly,
Ooh, lay it on
this
me.
is going to sound really bad.
I love Kim bitchy. Okay, go ahead.
God, I feel so awful because I don't ever want to think I'm above anyone. But honestly,
oh, you're above MTG. I'm sorry. Come on.
I feel like I'm so far above her as a person who is thoughtful and kind, able to think about issues and be respectful of people that are not like-minded. I feel like I would kind of float past her with a look of disdain, and that would be it.
That's it? You would look down on her with disdain?
I'm too far. I mean, what I'm saying is, I feel like I'm
really
so
bitchy.
I'm so far above her that she doesn't even warrant my time or a comment. Like I just,
that's
I'm
good.
so
That's good.
she's so far beneath. She's like a bottom dweller that I just feel, and it's really, it's not very, you know, of so far above hoity-toity for me to even be saying that. You act with class, and you don't even look toward the person.
Level.
You don't even.
You're going high.
Yeah, you don't even respond to them. They're insignificant. She's insignificant. Her nasty comments to people don't even really deserve or warrant a response from me. I walk past and I don't even look at you. You're so insignificant. This is how I feel.
I feel like
how awful is that? Oh, what a bitchy thing to say.
It's not even bitchy. That is like nothing. My God, people. Jeez. Kim is way too nice. This is how I feel about it. If I was one of her constituents, especially, and I was part of a group that she was not representing, right? For instance, let's just say that I might accidentally fart in her general. I
love that comment. Elise, you're hilarious.
I would ask her, you know, especially if I lived in her district, I'd be like, when are you going to start representing me? Like, I live here. Should you not want to help me and protect me? And I think that's what people forget is, you know, especially if you're a lawmaker and you say, I'm speaking for the people of fill in the blank, that includes people that don't agree with you politically. And so for you to speak hate about certain things, it's just insane. Oh, Chris, ask her to come on your show.
Absolutely not.
No,
I don't.
Why
give her don't give her a platform to spread her hate and lies and misinformation. She's ridiculous. No,
I would not. And this is the difference between myself and Kim McAllister. I would probably get so upset at her BS that either I disconnect from her or read her the riot act. I mean, I get really passionate when I'm talking to people that I think are flat out are flat out lying. I could totally request it, but she doesn't need my platform. She has the biggest megaphone among the MAGA crowd. I don't need to add her to my show, please.
Imagine, though, living in her district. You talked about being one of her constituents, right? And how you would feel. Imagine living in a place where the majority of people voted for her.
Oh God.
living in a place where that's the mindset. I don't,
And they reelected her. It's not like they
it wasn't an accident.
Kind of come to Jesus moment. They're like, oh my God, we thought she was semi-sane. No, I mean, they reelected her. At least Boebert was close. I don't think MTG was even close. Like, she won. And that, you know what that tells me, Kim? That we are also out of touch, right? That we're also out of touch with a part of the United States that would vote for someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't want to be in touch with that part of America, but it exists. And it is as much a part of our union as anything else.
You see, and people are saying, oh, it would be a heck of a debate. It would be a good conversation, whatnot.
No,
the thing is, though, it wouldn't be an honest conversation.
Exactly. That's why.
You can't sit here and express an opinion and talk back and forth and really kind of change your thoughts or learn from the other person or have a real, true, meaningful discussion, because she doesn't discuss. She just lies and sticks to it and says the same thing over and over and over again.
Even
and
if
is
it's not
angry
true.
and ugly. And so in that case, there's no discussion or conversation.
I don't need to bring a liar on this show to spew their nonsense. And remember when she was questioning, because now she has committee assignments, she was questioning that school official regarding CRT funding, and she's like $1 billion went to some school, which was total BS. But she's like, oh no, it's this racist agenda. It was total BS how she even described it on the record during the committee hearing. I am not giving this asshat any of our time. Wes, Chris Christie, he's been around for so long. As a governor, you're so used to working with the media. I don't agree with Chris Christie. At least sometimes he's been able to call out the Trumpers and Donald Trump himself. But he also has his own political aspirations. And he's not like an MTG. I would talk to Chris Christie. I would never talk to MTG. Okay.
It's not
as if I don't want to talk to somebody with a different political view. I just want to talk to a liar. I mean, what's the point?
Right. Or someone that will have a reasonable conversation with you.
Exactly.
Mindy writes, she's like a third grader, emotionally stunted.
Absolutely.
I think you're doing a disservice to third graders. I happen to have a third grader. And I would say my third grader would have a discussion with me. We can talk about ideas and things, and he can express himself better than Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I would agree with your sentiment, but I think some third graders are probably better off than she is.
I agree. All right, let's lighten things up as we go to Kim's news. When we come back, inflation is everywhere, even under your child's pillow. What is the going rate for a lost tooth? I want you guys to tell me, how much of the tooth fairy, or does the tooth fairy, bring your children? Because, God, some tooth fairies in some neighborhoods are quite generous. And doesn't that make things awkward? So we'll talk a little bit about that. I do want to get into our food segment and Claude the Claw. Do you want your food to remind you that it once was attached to an entire animal? Please click the thumbs up button as we go to Kim's news. We absolutely love it. And when we come back, we will give some thank yous to those in the super chat. Throw us a few dollars, a lot of dollars in the super chat. We'll read them. We'll read your comments, your super stickers, and your super thanks. And of course, please consider donating to our Patreon. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com is where you get that link. And also links to the shows that you can share with your family and your friends. So do all of that, and we'll talk more right after Kim's news.
From around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
I have to admit that I was so enthralled and involved in our conversation that I don't have all the pictures set up that I normally do.
Oh, it's okay.
That's okay. So we'll just move on. There is a big mudslide going on in Southern California, threatening homes in Los Angeles's Beverly Crest neighborhood. The Los Angeles Fire Department says mud and debris fell down the yard of a home this morning, knocking down trees, damaging a power pole. No one's been injured so far, but people living nearby are being taken out of their homes as a precaution as crews assess how bad this mudslide really is. This comes after a string, of course, of very powerful winter storms. Also in Southern California, kind of a disturbing story. A California Highway Patrol officer facing charges now nearly a year after an alleged assault in the Santa Clarita area. The Los Angeles County DA's office says Todd Cookston allegedly punched a 21-year-old woman in the face during a traffic stop a year ago. Today, District Attorney George Gascon announced he is being charged, the officer, with 1 felony count of assault under color of authority. Happiest city in the United States, or happiest cities in the United States. What do you think?
Happiest cities in the United States. I'm going to say California. Some in California.
Happiest city in the United States would be Fremont, California.
Fremont. Fremont doesn't get a lot of love. Fremont is one of those cities that people think is in the South Bay, but they consider it the East Bay, which is really odd.
It's kind of right. It saddles between the East Bay and the South Bay. It's right on the cusp.
South Bay, because it's, in my opinion, way closer to me than, let's say, Oakland. But yeah, it's
yes, but it's not in a technically South Bay County, right?
No, it's weird.
It's in Alameda County. So I think Alameda or Contra Costa. I think Alameda. But this new study, it was done by Wallet Hub, and they compared more than 180 of the country's largest cities, and they looked at 30 indications of happiness, including depression rate, right? Average leisure time that you have per day. Irvine was 6th in Southern California.
And it was
looks like Anaheim in Disneyland. You'd think that'd be a really happy place. That's not. 23rd in the state. But yeah, Fremont is the best. So
where did San Jose or Petaluma rank? Do you have
sorry,
all
that's
of them?
that's not on the list. I don't have the
while you do the rest of your news, I'm gonna look it up.
It's a Wallet Hub study. So if you're looking for Wallet Hub and the happiest cities, I mean, I feel pretty happy here in Petaluma, but I guess if you're looking at the statistics of everything, that maybe it might not be the happiest place.
Wait. San Jose came in at number 2. I don't know where you're.
Okay. See, my article didn't have that.
Didn't have all of them. Okay, hold on.
Have all of them.
It went Fremont, then San Jose. I don't know.
All right.
That one. San Francisco's number 5. Irvine's number 6. Is Petaluma, but I don't know. Did they do it by population? I know what Petaluma's population is.
It has to be larger. I think Petaluma's like 70,000 people now, maybe.
Yeah, I don't see it on the
list. I don't think it rises to the level of big city.
Yeah, exactly. But San Jose, number 2, baby. I'm happy.
So that's nice. I mean, you got a little love there. People are happy. They're not depressed. They get some leisure time. Everything is looking good. No problemo. So, and again, just in case you were planning to head up to the Sierra, it is an absolute mess. Highway 50, Interstate 80, not looking pretty at all, with more snow on the way and blizzard warnings as well through at least today, if not tomorrow. Here's what it looks like. It's just a mess. Lines of traffic. The CHP says if you don't have to drive up to the Sierra, get yourself to a safe place. Don't try it. It's not even worth it. So just wanted to throw that out there as well. And it looks like Burger King is bringing back its melts and is announcing a new menu item. The one-handed melts are back in 3 choices. And they are, just in case you're a Burger King aficionado, they are the classic melt, the spicy melt, and of course, the beloved bacon melt. I've never had a melt. Have you ever had a melt? I don't know.
I'm so sorry. Like when you said melt, I just kept thinking like M&Ms or like a candy that was like melting.
Or like an ice cream.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
No, I do like melts. Hold on. I'm going to show you this real quickly. Did I?
What the melts look like?
Yeah.
In addition, the restaurant chain announced a new flaming hot version of its chicken fries. Melts and fries are both launching nationwide March 6th through May 14th. So
I do like a melty sandwich.
Yeah.
There used to be that place, wasn't it, across the Melt? That's like a cheesecake or cheese grilled cheese place. It's called the Melt.
Yeah. That was in the city. Oh.
Those look pretty good.
Yeah.
I like
maybe that's your Friday food segment in March.
You get me with Friday food. Oh, I have something that I'm gonna do for Friday food. Should I?
What are you doing?
Okay, so here's the thing. There's because remember I was asking for recommendations of where I should go, local businesses, things like that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So one of our viewers that I posted this on social media, recommended this one place, but a specific item at this restaurant that apparently they only serve 2 days a month.
Mm.
So tomorrow's one of the days.
Okay. What is
so,
it?
Well, I don't want to tell you yet. That's a
Oh,
tease.
come.
I'm not going to
Give me
tell
one.
you.
Give me one ingredient.
A bun. But I have to drive there. Now, here's my question, Kim.
Yeah.
Should I move the Friday food segment to tomorrow, which is one of the days that it's doing it, or record my whole thing and save it for Friday?
I think we have to save it for Friday.
Okay. So I was leaning towards doing that anyway, because I have to kind of drive a bit of a distance to get this. And I want to get there and back before the show. So I don't know if I'm going to go for lunch or for dinner. I don't know. I got to figure out tomorrow. We'll see how the morning goes. But yeah, I really want to go because the next day is not until like the end of the month. And so I know, right? It seems like this better live up to the hype. There is definite pressure on this food item to live up to the standard if I'm going to drive my butt all the way out there for it. So
I wouldn't normally have put the melt story above this next story, but I feel like I need to do this story and we'll wrap up the newscast. I'm sorry I'm all discombobulated. I wasn't paying attention to the time and I was involved in our discussion.
That's okay. That's what we want.
So this is Chinese officials saying their country, they say, has been open and transparent regarding questions on the origin of the COVID pandemic. Have they really, though? Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Mao Ning said in response to recent comments made by U.S. Ambassador to China, Nicholas Burns, she went on to point out China has shared more data and research findings on the origins of COVID than any other country. Mao also denounced the United States for politicizing the issue, called on Burns to improve U.S.-China relations rather than the opposite. This comes in light of recent reports that the Energy Department and the FBI suggested with varying levels of confidence that the COVID pandemic originated from a lab leak in Wuhan, China. This report, sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. Can't get better than Steve Moskowitz if you need tax help or a finance help or a state help, HR help. He does it all. We'll talk to him in just a minute. He's at 888-TAX-DEAL at MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show. Hey,
let me take my mic. Oh, there he is. There is the man.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Steve Moskowitz, Moskowitz LLP. So, Steve, I was not aware that there are a lot of different tax implications and a lot of different tax dates that people need to keep in mind, in addition to the deadlines for things like ERC. Are these the things that you and your company remind people of as we're going to tax time?
Absolutely. Because, for example, talking about dates, most everybody knows the April 15th deadline.
Of course.
But if you own a corporation, it's March 15th. And tomorrow is March. I can't believe it's like, I remember I was just saying to you, next month is February. Now tomorrow's March.
Why is it the shortest month and everything starts happening after that?
And, things in the tax world really heat up in March. And the question I get all the time, people say, well, Steve, we know you, we heard you on Station X and other places too, and TV, about, getting people out of trouble and representing them in audits and helping them out if they can't pay their taxes. And we've certainly heard you talk about ERC, where we get the $26,000 for every employee you have as an employer. But do you do regular tax returns for somebody that files every year and is not in trouble and can pay their taxes? And the answer is, well, yes, we do. As you probably, or most of the listeners know, before I was a tax attorney, I was a CPA. And that's how I founded the practice on doing regular tax returns, but not in the regular way. That's why I went to law school as a student. Because when I went to law school as a student, I already had a master's and bachelor's degree in accounting. I was already a practicing CPA doing taxes. And I worked for a big fancy firm whose clients were the Fortune 500. And it boggled my mind, these giant companies making all this money and legally not paying taxes. I said, I got to learn how to do that. And I bet I can do it for companies smaller than the Fortune 500. That's why I became a lawyer. And not to do divorces and chase ambulances and get murderers off, to do taxes. So when we do a tax return, we don't do it in the regular way. We talk to you about what can we do to save you money. For example, yes, there's still things that we can do in 2023 that can save us money in 2022 if you qualify. And another thing is, a lot of times when we take a new client, people say, "Oh, Steve, is that something new this year?" I say, "No, it's been around for years." A lot of times we wind up amending the last 3 years federal, 4 years California, because people just miss things to which they were entitled. So the bottom line is, what I'd like your viewers to consider is, let us do your current year tax return, whether it's a business return or individual return, and let us show you the difference caring can make.
It's not just what you don't know can hurt you. It can really cost you a lot of money. Yeah, it can cost you tons of money. So give Steve a call. He could probably save you money. Figure something out even for past tax years. So there's the number, 888 tax deal. MoskowitzLLP.com is the website. 888 tax deal, or MoskowitzzLLP.com. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Yeah, so give him a call and he'll figure it all out for you. He is the guy that has all of the information. All right. So let's get into inflation. Kim McAllister, inflation is hitting underneath the pillow because the Tooth Fairy, and it's national, if you didn't know this, it's National Tooth Fairy Day.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this, but
it's also National Pancake Day, just so you know.
Pancakes, teeth, last day of Black History Month. It's a big day. It's a lot of stuff happening today. Okay.
So before we get into it, let's lay the groundwork. What does your Tooth Fairy leave at your house?
So at first it was the Tooth Fairy had tons of gold dollars, right?
Yes.
A nice shiny gold dollar.
That's what my Tooth Fairy leaves. Larry the Tooth Fairy, that's what he leaves. Yeah.
And then they started having teeth pulled. And then we're like, oh, well, the Tooth Fairy was given a little extra if it was a yanked out tooth because of the process.
Sure.
Then the Tooth Fairy just seems to have her wallet and whatever is in the wallet to be thrown under the pillow. Which, by the way, whoever started the whole under the pillow thing is a monster. Tooth Fairy is a monster because could it be any more difficult for the Tooth Fairy to pay for the tooth? I mean, my sister-in-law's Tooth Fairy actually gave them a box that they leave on their bedroom dresser. And then the Tooth Fairy leaves it there because the Tooth Fairy is like, I'm busy by the end of the day and the end of the night. I just would love it be easy. Trying to slip and slide and not wake you up is a lot of work. So there you go.
My kids have a Tooth Fairy pillow. So Julia has one that's like pink and it has a little pocket where you put your tooth and where the exchange happens and then money goes in the pocket. And Jacob has one that looks like a little baseball player who has a tooth missing and he's got a little pocket on his shirt.
Well, the price the Tooth Fairy is paying for teeth has increased a whopping 379% since 1998. According to a poll by Delta Dental, the average amount being doled out for a single lost tooth is up 16% over the last year. Let's see the numbers. How much do you think here on the West Coast the average is for a tooth?
$5.
What do we think? More?
$10?
Less. It's $6.25.
Who leaves change? Don't you just have like one bill of whatever?
I think it's,
the Tooth Fairy rather.
Change, people. The South actually has the highest value for the lost tooth, which I'm sure there's a joke somewhere in there about the South and their teeth. But they pay $6.59, so they pay the most.
Where's the change coming from? Where's the pennies coming from?
Well, it's like 2.5 kids, right? The average family, like what half child are people having? But anyways, the Northeast, $6.14. They were the highest last year, though, at $7.36. And then the Midwest has the lowest value for a lost tooth at $5.63. But in all of this, inflation is hitting the Tooth Fairy pretty hard. $20? No.
Golden dollar. $20 is too much.
The golden dollar, I felt like the Tooth Fairy was a genius. Like that
special
is
and that's what art.
Or a $2 bill sometimes if people wanted to do something like that.
Something special, right? Yeah.
But I mean, come on now. At what age does the tooth fairy stop coming? And what does the tooth fairy do with said teeth? Do not tell me you've made them into something.
Oh no, but some people do.
I know.
Some people make jewelry and stuff.
Have you seen the tooth fairy doll?
No, I don't. Do I want to?
No.
I feel like my mom before me, like my mother before me, I stow them in the far reaches of my jewelry box. So they're in the far back where no one would ever look.
Right.
And I don't know why I keep them there. I mean, I guess unless someone ever gets kidnapped and I'd have a DNA sample ready. But I mean, that's morbid.
Disturbing, but okay.
Yeah.
Here's something that you'll sleep well at night, imagining and seeing.
Why do you do this? Why do you bring the horror to the Nikki Medoro Show? Why? Why?
Hold on. You haven't seen this? This is really funny. These are teeth from children. So they sew them apparently or affix them to some sort of doll. And then there you go.
I can't. No.
Yeah. So
No.
you could do that. I mean, the
That's
tooth fairy could do that.
horrible. Like that's awful.
Some people make jewelry. There was a book that had a dollhouse was made of all these teeth. That's another horror type of
Ew.
thing. Yeah, it was pretty good. That's pretty good. But yeah, the inflation, the tooth fairy. Yeah, it is creepy. Do you keep? So my son both my children still have the tooth that they had pulled from the dentist that they needed to make room for other ones. But other than that, I think I have the tooth fairy's left like a ring box with all the teeth in it, which is really funny because I mean, when you find it, it's weird, right? Yeah, necklaces, earrings. Is it morbid? It's just teeth. It's bones. Yeah. Yeah. A tooth advent calendar. That's hilarious. Well, I mean, is it any different than having a shark tooth on a necklace? You think the shark appreciates seeing his teeth around your neck, people? I don't think so.
Look at this earrings. That's awful.
I mean, yeah. My son had lost a tooth and it had one of his braces brackets on
Must
it.
have.
It was really funny.
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, I guess a ring could kind of be cool, but I would want to I don't know, have it dipped in gold or silver or something. You know what I mean? Like make it a piece of jewelry.
It's not cool. None of that is cool.
No, you don't like it. All right.
No.
Fine. All right. Well, speaking of kids, let me ask you this other question. Elizabeth Holmes. So she just had her second baby. She's trying to push to delay her prison time, to delay going into prison because she just had a baby. What do you think about that? I mean, on one hand, I understand completely, like as a mother, as a parent, I feel for the child. It's not as if the child doesn't have its father. So, let's stop with this whole abandonment thing. Do you think it just screams of privilege? Because I also think not only does it scream of privilege, she has absolutely no comprehension that what she did was wrong if she thinks that she could delay going to prison because she had a baby.
So she knew she was in the middle of a trial.
Mm-hmm.
She knew there was a possibility she could end up behind bars. She got pregnant on her own volition, knowing that all this was going on. You don't delay your prison sentence because you're pregnant when you knew that you could have. No, she set herself up for this whole situation.
Yeah,
they have
They
have medical facilities in prison. Unfortunately, your child will have the dubious distinction of being born behind bars, and then it will be taken off to its father or family member, whoever else.
Exactly.
Can
Happens
raise
to
it.
everybody else. Happens
And
to
guess
everybody
what?
else.
It's your own damn fault, lady. And I'm sorry to say, as a mom, I'm sorry that you're having to go through that, but consequences are consequences. So suck it up, Buttercup.
Exactly. Suck it up, Buttercup. My favorite. Kids are being urged to take mental health days.
Interesting.
Do you think that schools should kind of be in charge of doling out mental health days?
No, because everyone needs one at a different time. As a matter of fact, a family member just took their child out of school for a day and they went to some fun place. I forget exactly where it was. And she sent me a picture and I said, "Isn't it a school day?" And she's like, "Yeah, we just took a mental health day."
Love it.
Cool. If you don't have any, if you know your child knows they don't have any homework due that day, or there's no test or whatever, seems like a good moment to take a little break and they need it, then what's wrong with that?
Yeah. 75% though of parents that were surveyed by Very Well Mind, 75% say mental health days can be an effective tool in managing a child's mental health. And 74% say schools should offer mental health days to children. I say leave it up to the parents as well.
Yeah.
They're the only ones that are really going to know when and how often mental health days should be taken.
Yeah.
But I think it's also this idea of encouraging it. It's really, and I'm going to bring in John Fetterman again, of Pennsylvania. He has been not working right now because he's managing his depression. He's admitted it. He's getting mental health help. Although some people are saying, no, he's in a vegetative state and he's not even with it. From what we have been officially told, he has admitted himself because he has depression.
Yeah.
For a country, and for, I will say even Republicans who always seem to blame mental health for the problems of this country. When someone who's in a leadership position admits that they have something and they need professional help, to say, oh, he's in a vegetative state and make fun of that, as some have, is a bit rich. But I think that the only reason why I would think that schools need to get involved is because there's always going to be this pressure to not take one because you're going to be missing something or it's not really encouraged by the school. I do think that there can be an argument made that if the schools say, look, we want your child to take mental health days, and let's just say 2, I don't know, pick a number. I don't know what the number should be. And we encourage it and we remind children that they have these days, that it can kind of remove that pressure and that stigma on them and their parents to kind of keep up with the Joneses and not miss these days. And in that way, I think that schools can play a role, but I think it should be completely up to the parents what day. You can't just say, Monday, February, whatever is going to be the mental health day for people, because they can be fine on that day, right?
It just feels like a normal day off then. And mental health day has to be, it's kind of like a sick day almost, but it's a day to just kind of recharge and reset. So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I hope that Perry Joe will enjoy the mental health day. I listen to Mark and Nikki, and then I need a mental health day. I'm assuming that's in jest, but you come here of your own volition, and we love and appreciate you.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know how many days though. Oh, Kim makes an interesting comment though. Maybe if parents paid enough attention to their kids to know they need mental health days, there might be fewer school shootings. Yeah, I think that's we're talking about a societal problem there. I think that some parents try to, obviously, I'm sure there are many parents try to be really tuned into their kids' mental health. I also think, parents have their own mental health issues. They have their own stresses. Are they addressing those? They say, you can't, fill up others if you're empty yourself, right? And so can parents who are burning it at both ends really fully be there? And that's really a sad thing to say, but really fully be there to gauge, oh my God, my kid it seems off, or there's something, wrong with them. They really need to have a day off of school. They need to be tuned in, but they also need to be tuned into themselves. And if they're not, then things are going to fall through the cracks. And I know, Perry Joe, that was all in jest. I love you. Okay. Now, how often, and I already know the answer, it's going to be a hell of a lot less than me. Kim McAllister, how many hours of screen time do your children get?
Well,
Truth.
Does it count? Does screen time count if Julia's doing homework and looking at her Chromebook?
Oh, no, we can't count any schoolwork. No schoolwork.
The homework doesn't count?
No, I mean, they have to do the homework. So I'm not going to count that.
But there are programs like Reflex or Prodigy or Alexia that the school wants the kids to do, but it doesn't include them looking at the iPad and the screen. So I'm going to say on a normal day, we don't have any recreational screen time. We only have study screen time. And study screen time is maybe 3 hours for Julia, 1 hour for Jacob.
So your kids don't, like Jacob doesn't, and you're talking about during the school week, right? Not weekends, like on the
weekends are a whole different ballgame.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that? Like, do they not watch any like television either? Like nothing like that?
No,
So what do they? No. So, I mean,
in the evenings, they're doing homework. There's no time to watch shows, and then they go to bed. That's it.
And after school, they just come home and hang out and do whatever.
There's usually activities to be done.
Yeah. So you keep your kids busy. That's actually pretty good. That's something that
when the Nikki Medoro Show ends, I'm off to school pickup like a rocket. And then I think, what is it, Tuesday? Tuesday is Jacob's got karate. Julia's babysitting today. So people have stuff. There's stuff going on.
Right. How many hours do you think you get a day?
Much more than my kids. Does this count as screen time?
No, we're working. It doesn't count. I don't count anything in which we're working as screen time. You know what I will say?
4 hours for the shows. And then maybe after my kids go to bed, I'll probably watch about 3 hours of TV.
Can I tell you that you are so right about the number of hours I spend watching TV now that I've cut the cord? I am so much more intentional with my television watching because it's this added step of like, okay, I'm going to turn something on. What am I going to watch?
Right.
Is it just turning on the TV and whatever's on? I'm going to flip through
the
everything.
riffraff and the crap is gone. You've decided you go in searching for something. You're going to watch that. Yeah.
Yeah. So my children get, because of this, they watch less TV. It's not like there is some sort of Nickelodeon or some crap show on TV all the time. My children are very active as well. Where I fall is my kids love to watch YouTube. They love watching YouTube. My son loves watching it. And so even if it's not on this computer that I'm on, which is the only computer, which is in the main room, so I know what they're watching, he loves to switch because he can watch YouTube on his Switch. That bothers me. But the great thing about my kids is when I tell them to get off, they get off the electronics. So, and then my daughter, like last night, she had 2 hours of cheerleading, coming home, eating a snack, then she has tutoring, and then comes home, gets her cheerleading stuff on, and then she's at cheerleading. My son, he has Boy Scouts, and like today he has parkour, right? So he's going to be doing that. So it's definitely not zero. My kids have way more screen time than that. I'm not going to say it's like in the 4 hour range or anything like that. Right. It's more than I like, but as long as they're not giving me lip when I take away their electronic, I'm pretty happy about that.
So my rule is that you can't play video games during the week.
That's good.
But you can play them on the weekend. So weekend is video game time. And Jacob will play for, 2 or 3 hours at one sitting, sometimes on the weekend. I don't know if that's good parenting or bad parenting, but I feel like I've kept it away from him for 5 days and he loves that. So if he wants to do that, okay. And then there are times where my kids love Harry Potter movies. There'll be a Harry Potter marathon on TV and we will spend all day long.
Yeah.
But also they have there's basketball on Saturdays that Jacob is going to, and Julia works now. She's got a job shoveling horse crap on the Sunday. So she's riding horses and working at the horse farm, and people are busy.
Yeah. And I think that's also you don't want to be so busy that you can't be bored or disconnect or whatever. Yeah. But I think that for my son, he's always on, it always looks like he's on his electronics. So you tell me if this is bad. My son is obsessed with chess.
I love that.
And he is so good at it. My dad texted me when we were gone because my son didn't go with us because he doesn't like rides.
Yeah.
And he's like, I finally beat my son at chess. So what my son does is he has this electronic chess game and he's always on it. So is that bad?
Well, I'd call it screen time. I don't think it's bad necessarily.
Right. So those are the things that I'm talking about. He'll stay on there and then he'll be like, oh, he got me. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm playing chess. And so I'm like, I don't want to take away the phone.
I also feel like there's a difference between, are you playing a video game with no educational value?
Right.
Versus a game like chess where you're strategically thinking and it's a game of, and being thoughtful. So I think there's a difference between those two things.
Yeah. And
I would have a hard time limiting chess.
Exactly. And I stuck at it and he keeps trying to, he's like, play me. I'm like, oh. And I try, and I understand how things move. But if you've ever seen somebody who understands chess, who understands 3 moves ahead, Like, that's my son. He totally
Yeah.
sees it. Like, he'll look at the board and I can see that he sees it. And I'm literally only looking 1, maybe 2 moves ahead. And that took all of my brain power. I'm like, okay, if I do that and he does that, and then I do that. But for him, he's like 6 moves ahead of me. And so I love that. I'm like, you are so good at this. And I really like praise him for doing that. He plays it at lunch at school. Like, there's a classroom that's open and kids are just playing chess and he just hops in. I'm like, who do you play with, your friends? He's like, well, some of my friends like to play, but some of them don't. So I just play with whoever's in there. So on that, I love it. My daughter, on the other hand, of course, she's just watching Dance Moms or some crap. And I'm like, no, let's get off the electronics for right now. We did, by the way. We watched, I don't know if we finished it. I think I started it, The Queen's Gambit with Dylan, my son. I don't think that we finished it. We might. I don't think so, though. I think I was watching and he watched it with me.
I also didn't include, when I wasn't 100% honest, we're talking about TV time, but not the amount of screen time and the amount of time I spend looking at my phone.
Oh, well, yeah.
On like waiting for kids to be done with an activity. I'm looking at Facebook. I'm reading little books online.
Yeah.
So like, I would say I probably have a lot more screen time than I let on.
Yeah. I mean, and as an adult, I feel like, there's definitely points, again, like cutting the cord, that have made such a huge difference on how much time I spend. But yeah, my phone's like always a freaking reach away. I try to be more mindful. Some tips, of course. This is what I tell my daughter, and this is what I did when I started really going back on Instagram a lot. And I even do it sometimes on Facebook and things. Curate your feed to limit content that makes you feel bad. So for instance, yesterday, this stupid friggin' video about, in my opinion, a bunch of transphobes kept popping up on my feed. And I was like, I don't want to listen to this nonsense anymore, right? I just don't. And so I turned it off and I'm going to see fewer of those videos. So I feel like if you can curate it where your feed is inspiring you or making you feel better, like I do a lot of food ones because I like to do the food segments on the show. Just those types of things, at least with your screen time, it's not making you feel worse. They also say you should schedule a 1-day break from devices. And apparently they did this study with a bunch of like teenagers and college age kids, and half of them could only use their phone 1 hour a day, and the rest could use it as much as they wanted to. And the emotional state of those that just were on the phone for 1 hour a day was huge. And it reminded me of you, Kim, saying, I don't let my daughter have social media because I know what it's going to do to her. Why would I put that in her hand? And that just echoes that whole thing. Of course, it's like turning off the notifications, invest in real life activities as well, which is my whole thing. Why watch it when you can go do something, right? Like go do what you want to do.
Go live life. Don't watch life, live life.
No, Nikki, watching our shows does not count as screen time. This is educational. Okay. I don't know. You can just watch the show guilt-free. I'm just letting you know. So
you know what Julia told me is sometimes she watches our show. She says
Dylan watches my show all the time.
Yeah,
because he'll bring up topics that we talk about.
Okay. All the time. I love that.
My biggest fans. Yeah.
Hi, kids.
Hi. Yeah, after school, if he's waiting, he'll go to like hang out, or he'll be waiting for me at Starbucks if he wants me to pick him up, or just hang out. And I'll go there. I go, what are you watching on your phone? And he's like, I was watching your show. And he watches it on replay. And I love children. They just bring out the warmness. All right. I have to get to this story. Okay. We have time. Okay. Do you think that this is sweet? Let me show you a picture. Now, these are 2 pasta dishes.
Okay.
This was the order of President Biden and the First Lady when they went out to dinner. They decided to order the exact same meal in Washington at the popular Red Hen in Bloomingdale.
You like what you like.
It's 2 bowls of rigatoni, which is what it looks like, a chicory salad, and obviously bread and butter. And a lot of people are like, how can you possibly sit across from your partner and or whomever you're eating dinner with and order the exact same thing?
Why not? You're serving the same thing at home.
Ooh, good point.
I mean, if I'm sitting at the table at home, we're all eating the same thing. So what's the big deal if we both like the same thing?
This is where my mind goes. Well, if you order that and I like it, and then I'll order something different and then we'll share.
And inevitably, the person forced to order the thing they didn't want hates it, and then nobody likes it. And then you're stuck with one dish of the thing everybody likes. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't order the same food as my husband. Although if we're debating, like we want kind of the same type of food, we'll do the whole. You order that, I'll order this. You can have a bite of mine, I'll have a bite of yours. And sometimes he'll order something. For instance, I will never order spaghetti and meatballs at an Italian restaurant, and oftentimes I won't order like a stew or something like that because I don't know. Sometimes you just make stuff better at home, and I'm always looking for that. So sometimes my husband will get that, and I'll just be like, "You can keep it. You can keep that mess. I'm going to order something different." I thought it was kind of sweet, and the reason why I bring it up, of course, is we have a bunch of food topics, and one of them has to do with Claude. Have you met Claude, Kim?
No. Is he the white alligator at the California Academy of Sciences?
Claude, no. That is
his name.
No.
The albino alligator at the California Academy of Arts and Sciences is named Claude. Yeah.
Oh, that is not who I'm talking about. Damn it. Hold on. I got to show you a picture.
Okay.
And I thought I had it. So, when people talk about where food comes from, and there's people like, you should go hunting and you should skin the meat and you should do
Eat
all
what
those
you kill,
things.
start to finish.
Yeah, exactly. Like you should do all of that because that way you'll really know, the sacrifice that animal made for you. Well, what is this? No, this is a Bird Song, I think is the name of the,
Okay.
It's a San Francisco, Bird Box, pardon me, Bird Box. It's in San Francisco. And they have a new sandwich. It's called Claude the Claw. And I want to
What? Say it again. Claude the Claw?
Claw the Claw. I know.
Okay.
Claude the Claw. Here it is.
Okay. Claude the Claw.
You see it? It is the chicken foot attached to the chicken. It's a fried chicken sandwich, and it includes the foot.
I'm sending that back to the kitchen.
So they're saying
when it arrives at my place setting, I don't want it to look like anything that it was before it was food.
So here we go. There it is again. It's a different angle. Do you see that?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
There you go. No?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sending that back to the kitchen. I'm
now,
sorry.
why are you sending it back? You know that the foot was once attached, right?
Well, I'm not ordering that. I'm kidding. I mean, no. That's gross.
Well, this is an interesting take on it. No lobster dinner for you then. The shell of the lobster. I think
that's correct. No lobster dinner for me. That's correct, Chris. I
You
also
don't eat
do not.
lobster?
I would know if it arrives at my place setting looking like it was an animal that once drew breath. I'm not interested.
Why?
I don't want it. I want it to be like a burger patty or I don't want it to look like the creature that it was. So shrimp, lobster, crab, send it back. No, thank you.
Really?
None of it.
So here's my question. Do you think, and obviously Kim is a perfect example of this. Do you think that on one hand, this will kind of reinforce the fact that this was a chicken, the foot's attached, and kind of incorporate the lesson of meat, right? This was a living, breathing thing, and now you're eating it.
Yeah.
And do you think that it could possibly lead to people eating less meat if we included more of the external body parts, even though people eat chicken feet?
Because it's gross? Because people be grossed out, then we'll eat meat less? Yes. My husband calls me the reluctant carnivore.
Okay.
Because he says, like, I don't want chicken with bones in it. I'll only eat the boneless. Like, I don't want to have bones in my...
You want to have a drumstick or something.
We went to what's that place in Southern California where they're knights and they're fighting in the middle of the arena.
Medieval times.
The medieval times. And they serve you this gargantuan, like, turkey leg or whatever. And he looks at me, he's like, you're not eating that, are you? And I'm like, no. He goes, okay, I'll cut the meat off for you. Like,
and then you ate it.
And then I ate it.
You're
But
a child. So
if it looks, because I'm a small child. Yes, I have to. I admit I'm a small child about meat.
Well, can you please put this off the bone so I can eat it?
Yes. I know it's so juvenile, but I don't want to touch bones or have it look like it was a creature.
So you don't eat ribs?
No. Gnawing on a bone? How barbaric.
Oh,
gross.
No, yeah. That is so interesting.
No, you want me to gnaw on animal bones? That's what it looks like when people eat ribs.
It is literally doing exactly that. You're absolutely correct. John says, I'm a hypocrite too. I don't want to actually kill the animals I eat. I let someone else do that.
Right.
Ms. Organic says, I'm with you, Kim. I was vegetarian for 25 years, but now that I eat animal protein, I cannot eat it off the bone.
No.
I'm a thigh man too, Chris. I like dark meat. I don't like white meat that much. Whenever people do recipes and they're like, get a chicken breast, I'm like, you mean a chicken thigh? Because I like some flavor. But yeah, I don't particularly like chicken breast. I do. The reason why dark meat is dark meat oftentimes is because it was next to the bone, right? All that flavor is what we call it. Some people don't call it that, but ooh, yeah, you never eat soft shell crab. Love soft shell crab in a hand roll with a little crab claws are kind of coming out. You just eat the whole damn thing. Just throw the whole thing. Oh, so you don't eat chicken wings. Wes is I'm with Kim, but I eat wings. No fish heads, no chicken feet. If I bite into a steak with grizzle, it's over for me. Oxtails. Anybody love oxtails?
Yeah.
I love oxtails. Oh my God. I don't know if you have this everywhere in the Bay Area, but there's a Jamaican restaurant called Becca Yard. They serve Jamaican food, and one of their specials, I forget what day it is, they'll have oxtails. Oh my God, it is so freaking good. But that's like, you got to work for the meat sometimes. I mean, it's tender and everything, but then you basically have to suck the bone to get all of the meat off if that's what you want to do. So don't yuck my yum, damn it. Eric loves oxtail soup. Yeah, oxtail is bomb. It is so friggin' good. But yeah, if you're not into it, I'm just saying, if more food came with bones and chicken feet and eyeballs, shells, even if you don't eat it, just in the presentation, I think that it could lead to people eating less meat, which is good for the environment, right? If it throws you off. Now, if you're like me, who's sucking the bone off the oxtail or sucking the meat off the oxtail bone, I don't know if it's going to make any sort of difference. But if you are one to not want that sort of thing, maybe Claude the Claw, good for you. Well, there you go. Have I ever eaten lamb brains? What the hell? No. I won't eat it. I don't eat offal, which is like it's awful. Awful's awful, in my opinion. Ooh, RJ's a professional chef. I didn't know that about him.
Yeah. See, and he has, because of that, his experiences with food are probably so much more vast than mine. I love people that are adventurous like that and can not think about the food as they're eating it. And my mind goes to, it was a living creature, right? I don't want to be reminded
But
of
that's
that.
the point, though. Like, you should be reminded because something
Don't want to
died
be
for you.
reminded. I don't want to.
Died for you, Kim.
Yeah.
Died. Is no longer living. It's funny. John says nobody wants their food looking back at him. Eric says oxtail, or 11 says oxtail sounds super redneck. It's not redneck at all. A lot of cultures make oxtail. I grew up in a Puerto Rican household. My mom would make oxtails all the time. I don't know if it's in a Puerto Rican way, but she did. But yeah, we ate. I mean, oh my God, my mouth is watering. Sorry. It's just so good. It's so good. It's really, really yummy.
What is it? The tail of an ox? Is it really truly the tail of an ox?
I don't. Let me Google exactly what part it is. Oxtail is. It can refer to the tails of any cattle. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be ox. but yeah, it looks, hold on, let me show you it because it's just going to gross you out and I love it. Hold on, let me get a good picture of it.
Why do you always do this to me? Like,
because
is it not enough that I'm watching The Last of Us? Is it?
And I watched last night, by the way. And it wasn't that gory, last night's episode. It was really good. I'm not gonna even.
It's not the gory. It's the anticipation of having someone jump out at you around every corner in every scene in every moment, and you never know when it's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's anxiety inducing.
Here's oxtail.
Oh. Is that a bone in the middle of it? Do you, when you eat it, do you gnaw around the tailbone?
So there's a lot of bones. So like it's like a cross section. So there's pockets of meat, if that makes sense. And so the slow roast it, you braise it, you make it, and it's so freaking tender
And the bone is still in it when you eat it?
Well, yeah, you cook it with the tail. I mean, you cook it with the bone.
Okay. Well, I mean, I didn't know. Maybe the bone was, or the meat is kind of falls off the bone and it's served in a different capacity. I don't know.
No, I mean, yeah, no, you make the person that's
So it's
eating
like
do all the work.
gnawing on ribs, but in this case, you're gnawing on a tailbone.
Yeah, kind of.
Great.
I know some people are grossed out. It's really delicious. Bone marrow. Well, yeah, bone marrow. No.
Oh, no. Don't try
know.
to get adventurous on me. Just,
You're like, move on. It's fine. You're like, no, it's not going to happen. It's just not. Oh, I'm not going to. Yeah, I want to throw one more thing about, since you brought up The Last of Us. And I don't think that we did this story. You might have done it in your news because I know that this has been out for maybe a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Let me find the picture. Where is it? Hold on. Where did it go? I swear I pull these pictures and then they just disappear. Oh, well. In Sonoma County. Where is it? Sonoma, pardon me. In Sonoma, there is somebody that is freaking people out dressed in a Scream costume. Have you seen this person? Hold on, I got the picture. Now you tell me if you saw.
Oh, is this the person that goes on to Ring doorbell cams?
Well, apparently no. They're just standing outside this business. Do you see it?
Oh, on the corner. Okay.
Yeah. So apparently there's an individual standing at the corner of Sonoma's historic town square wearing a Scream ghost costume and mask. And apparently a lot of people have been calling 911 because they're freaked out about it. They stand motionless at the corner of First Street East and East Napa Street. And it was caught by the webcam. That's the picture that you're seeing right there. According to police, the person is part of Paramount Pictures promotion for the latest film in the Scream franchise. It's in theaters on March 10th. Police say the individual has been contacted and was hired by the company through Paramount to promote the new Scream movie. I just thought that was hilarious. I can't imagine how, Kim, you would feel if you were caught on the corner with the Scream.
I feel like the company has a duty to let people know that this promotion is happening in their area, because that could be scary. Imagine the police being called out. Like, what are you doing here? What do you?
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. They don't go up to anybody. They just stand there and like stare out. So they're not actually like approaching you or chasing you or doing anything like that. And yeah, I think it's genius. And apparently because Sonoma, this area was used in the first Scream movie. And so that's why they're doing the promotion there. I
think the original house is in Marin, but maybe part of it was filmed in the town of Sonoma. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. They were there for several hours, of course. And then you sent me a story.
Are you going to do Cookie Monster?
I don't have it up, but do you remember there it is. Thank you. Now, this guy
was freaking
people out. Yeah. This was freaking people out, right?
Yeah. This guy who's claims his name is Adam Sandler, not the actor, right? He's not the actor, but he claims the same name as the actor. He is being called the mean Cookie Monster. So he dresses up as Cookie Monster. He's in Santa Cruz, and people will ask, "Oh, can I take pictures with you?" Whatever. And then he's aggressive and rude and mean. Not someone you want to have your children take pictures with. Starts yelling all kinds of obscenities. Interestingly, Karen, you say he's a perv. He hasn't touched anybody in a pervy way, but he's not someone you want your kid standing next to in a photograph, right? I mean, he's just awful. And the Santa Cruz Police Department has put out a warning. They say, hey, you want to stay away from this guy. His name is quote, quote, Adam Sandler.
Right.
But he's not very nice. We can't arrest him because he has freedom of speech and he can say whatever he wants and be as argumentative and aggressive and, horrible as he wants to be. He hasn't hit anybody. He hasn't assaulted anyone. He hasn't done anything arrest worthy. But just so you know, stay away from him if at all possible. Turns out this guy also has a history of doing this type of thing. He was even in New York. He was the Angry Elmo, they called him.
Oh, with the same guy or just?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Same guy. He's got a history of doing this.
I don't know about you, Kim, but if I just saw some rando in a costume, I don't care if it's Cookie Monster or not, I'm not going up to them asking for a picture anyway.
I think in Times Square, there's a bunch of these characters, and it's normal for people to, that's how they make money. They dress up in these big suits. They stand around Times Square. People get their pictures taken with the characters.
This is in Times Square, though.
And then you give them money. So that's probably what he's trying to do in a tourist area like Santa Cruz, you know, making money. But his thing is not making money. His thing is being mean.
I mean, unless like people want to take a picture with the mean Cookie Monster, right? I mean, possibly that's his shtick. It's like, oh yes, and why is his mouth open like that? Does it shut ever? Where's the cookie? I have so many questions. I just have so many questions. And I don't know. Isn't there a permit that you need to be a character or no? Is that not a thing in your Times Square?
I don't think you would need a permit. I mean, I don't think so.
I could just get a cool costume and just go and make some money.
Yeah.
In Times Square.
Yeah. It's do you need a permit to panhandle? You know, do you need a permit to be like the silver man on the Pier 39 who, you know, is like the robot or whatever?
If you could be any character and try to get money, what character would you want to be?
That's hard.
I want to be something warm.
I think Wonder Woman. I'm Wonder Woman.
Oh, there you go. But she has.
Although that's not fuzzy.
Clothes, and that's not that many clothes.
I definitely want to be something shoved out of your costume. Maybe not. Yeah. I don't know.
Although you have the lasso, right? So you just whip the crap out of people, which would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be, you know what? I want to be like something big. So even if people did want to hug me, they're like not too close to me.
Big Bird, would you be?
Big Bird, Snuffleupagus. That'd be awesome. Or I could be Oscar the Grouch and just have the can around me, so people would like leave me the hell alone, but like not get too close. Like just put the money in the can and we're good to go. But yeah, so watch out for the creepy guys in the costumes. But again, I maintain, look, if you're wearing a costume and Santa Cruz, yes, is touristy. It is not Times Square where there's a bunch of other ones. If there's just one costume person out there, I'm not going up to them asking for a picture. That's weird. That's weird to me. A little bit of stranger danger, just a bit.
I have a picture of him being arrested as Evil Elmo.
Same guy?
Same guy in New York. And the page of the headline on the New York Post is New York City's Evil Elmo now tormenting California tourists as Cookie Monster.
This is shtick, man. I'm telling you, he's going to get so much publicity for being an a-hole that people are going to want to take pictures with him. Now, the problem, of course, is if they don't pay up. If they don't pay up, he's going to come after you. He really is. Oh, let's see the picture. Oh, there he is getting arrested.
Yeah, in Times Square.
Doesn't look like Adam Sandler. That's a good costume, though. Definitely.
I don't know. Looks kind of dirty. I don't know if I want to get too close to it.
I want to say a quick thank you to Vilma for the $10 super sticker. Let's just round up the penny. $10 super sticker from Vilma. Thank you. Thank you. Wes, love your contributions to the show as well. $5 super sticker from Wes. Jim Slayton. Jim's the one that was wearing like the Mark Thompson beanie with the Nikki Medoro Show t-shirt. Gave us a $10 super sticker. Love it. $5 from Al Anonymous when we were having our conversation about Trump and people actually electing that guy. Another $5 from Al Anonymous. Kirk's Burger is one of the best burgers in the South Bay. I recently, and I've lived around the corner from them for years. Al Anonymous, great burger. You're absolutely correct. And then Andreas, I hope your dad is doing better.
Yeah, me
You
too.
gave us $10 and then another $20. Thank you, Andreas. And our prayers to you, your family. I hope your dad is doing better or is on the mend. Please click the thumbs up button. Consider being a sponsor of the show. Reach out to me, the Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. That's also the email for our PayPal. Reach out to me. I'll ask you a couple of questions, send them back to me, and maybe we can figure some sponsorship opportunity for the show. Consider donating to our Patreon. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com is where you go for that. We love our Patreon, our Medorables, because they keep the money flowing in, and we just really do appreciate all of you so very much. And we will talk tomorrow. Have a fabulous day, and bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful person. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.